Reality Team TV, we're back. We're definitely back again on the red chair. Another episode for you guys, another good conversations for you guys. We've got somebody, everybody that comes onto the red chair, they're special in their own way. And today we're going to be talking about, producing, DJing. I'm going to talk about a few more other things. But yeah, could you introduce yourself? And we'll go straight into it, yeah?
Sure. My name's Joe Dent. I'm a music producer and DJ under the alias called Goldhawk. And I guess like my kind of sound is organic, tribal, progressive, I would say would be like my sort of favourite genres. But, I dabble in a bit of melodic house, a bit more sort of melodic techno type stuff. And then occasionally a bit of like garage, UKF bass kind of sounds. And nice to be here, man.
Yeah. When did everything start? Like what I usually say to everyone, like all of us, we get to a point where it's like we make a decision, innit? We say, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go on this journey, innit? Like your DJing / production journey. When did all of this start?
I guess I'd always been into music for years and years. And before I started DJing, producing, I was a music journalist and event organiser. And I used to organise events in Manchester. They were called Blackout. They ran weekly on a Thursday at Sound Control, and it was like predominantly sort of like various shades of house music. And at the same time as running the events, I had like a small crew of DJs that I would rotate in and out on a weekly basis. I was also a sort of music journalist, so I was writing for a friend of mine's magazine called La Vida in Manchester. I was also writing for The Skinny in Liverpool a little bit. And I was also writing for movement magazines in Leeds. And I think that was whilst I was studying up in Manchester. And between I was in Manchester 2009 to 15. And then when I came back to London, I was still wanting to keep my toe dipped in the water. And I'd been in touch with these guys called it was Graham Farmer and Shelley Dodds, who run Data Transmission, or DT, as most people know it as.
Yeah.
And I was like, they were sending me to festivals to review the festival, but also talk to artists and interview them. I was looking at, I was reviewing EPs, LPs, that kind of thing. And then I think I'd always wanted to do music, and I dabbled a little bit when I was at Manchester. I was just playing on friends' decks and that kind of thing. And then I think it was around October 2022. I just got to a good point in my life, and I signed up to. I did a bit of research into various sort of DJ production schools in London, and I had some money saved up, and I went for the London Academy of Music Production. They're based in Stockwell and North Clapham. It was a 6-month course. It was an Indexel accredited diploma, a music diploma that I got out of it. And it was like one-on-one sessions, 3 hours a week, and with this tutor whose name is Tom Valrotary. He's doing very well now. Very much on that kind of like Hessel Audio kind of experimental electronic kind of sound, and he's doing great. And out of the course, it's all structured, taking you through from sort of more foundational stuff, just like getting you used to the DAW that I was using, which was Ableton, all the way through to using hardware synths, to using the various synths that come as stock within Ableton, looking at audio effects, arrangement, all sorts of stuff. Since then, that ended in March 2023, and for the last 2 years now, I've just been producing and DJing off my own back. Very much integrated into the sort of electronic music scene in London, playing with a couple of promoters regularly, and also having my own monthly radio show on Lola Radio, which is a small knit radio community, maybe it's about 25 people, I think. And the radio show manager called Sam Edmo, he basically programs us in every month. So I tend to do sort of the last week of the month every month.
Yeah.
And then also my own time producing as well. So got 10 finished mixed and mastered tracks now, and mainly just kind of building up my sort of war chest of tracks, playing them out occasionally, sending them to friends to play out as well. and really just having fun, enjoying the journey, really.
That's what it's really all about, innit? You know, just having fun, enjoying the journey, and obviously along the way, you hope to make memories, innit? You know, like lifelong memories, make some good friends, and all of that. I want to talk about like you said, your radio show. Like, how long have you been doing that for? And yeah, how did you get that opportunity?
Yeah, so I think when I started DJing, what I did was I went to a bunch of different open deck nights around London. And the one that I went to where I found the Lola Radio guys, it was at Brixton Jam. And I got talking to this woman called Chantel Marsden. And yeah, she basically liked the set that I was playing. We got chatting outside Brixton Jam, and she basically said, "Look, why don't you join our little sort of radio crew?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, that'd be fun. Just have somewhere that I could like put out my music once a month." And it's been great. They're really like wicked bunch of guys and girls, all sort of multi-genre. And yeah, they put on like events every once in a while. So I've got one actually coming up with the Lola Radio guys on the Thursday, the 10th of April. So yeah, we'll be playing at Four Quarters Bar in Peckham. It's a free event raising money for autism charity. The radio show manager, Sam Edmer, he's basically like a special needs teacher. Okay. So, you know, it's a sort of a cause that's important to him. And yeah, last year was like wicked, super fun.
Yeah.
It gives me a chance to play, I guess, more sort of like garage UKF bass, drum and bass kind of stuff, which I don't usually get to play. It's not my sort of default sound, but I just love that kind of music. So yeah, it's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, I was obviously you just said it. I was gonna ask what kind of music genres you play on there, but you know you've just answered it. Like how long? On a quick one as well. Once again, how long you been there for? Like how long you been doing the music show for?
The Lola guys. I think I'm probably I'm gonna say my 25th radio show with those guys.
That's good. That's quite good.
And yeah, like if you go on my SoundCloud, you can listen to all of my sets. There's I think on Recordbox I have like 71 sets that I've like prepared for in some way. But yeah, if you go on my SoundCloud, there's like a playlist with all of my mixes. I think about 55 or 56 of them recorded. So yeah, feel free to check it out. Like you can find it on at jdent2612 on SoundCloud, and that's my sort of that's my tag on all social media streaming platforms. So yeah, feel free to check it out, guys.
Yeah, I'm always curious about like DJs, who like very often obviously DJ in nightlife, in these loud places, things are going on. Obviously, it's a good time most of the times, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And I'm just always curious to just ask you guys, like, mentally, what do you like? Because obviously, when you keep on doing something over and over and over again, even if you love it, like, I assume eventually it will take its toll on you, either on your mental or like on your body to a certain degree. Because like I said, obviously the most important thing is no matter what you do, like recovery and doing it again. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm always curious to ask you guys, innit? Like, DJs like you, what do you do in terms of like to prepare yourself or even recovery? For example, you've had like such a crazy night and it's like, obviously the next morning it's like for your body and whatnot, like to recover. Like, do you have like certain things that you have in place in terms of like recovering the next day, so that obviously you can keep on doing this thing for as long as possible? You got what I'm saying? Like, how do you how do you like how do you operate?
Good question. I would say that combining the music stuff with sort of health activities of whatever sort really helps. For me, that means doing CrossFit, doing the odd bit of bouldering. I'm part of a run club at work. And training regularly just sort of helps break up the kind of the I guess the black hole of music, which some might call it. And yeah, I think it's really just about having balance, because you don't want to, like, especially if I'm deep in a sort of production that I'm working on, sometimes I might spend days, like listening to the same loop over and over again.
Yeah.
Trying to find different ways of expressing it or arranging it or combining it with some other elements. And you got to have breaks. So like whenever I finish a track, and creating a track from start to finish could be anything from, 3 weeks to 2 months, depending on how many sessions you put in every week. Naturally, I think the amount of time I spend doing music ebbs and flows throughout the year anyway. Sometimes of the year, I'm busier with work, so naturally, I might not have as much time for music production. Other times of the year, I might be really busy with like more gigs. So again, like I might be preparing more for my sets than doing production. And then other times it's quiet.
Yeah.
And then like the last 2 months, and naturally when it's quieter, it gives you a bit more time to work on your own personal projects and productions. So I think there is a natural ebb and flow, and it's just about sort of knowing yourself, and knowing where your limits, and what your mental health is like, and organizing your calendar accordingly, I guess, in that way. And yeah, obviously it's, there's the stuff you do on your own in your own studio, or whichever studio you're working through or from, but there's also what was I trying to get at with this? Working through. Oh yeah, and that's it. So yeah, you have the stuff you do in your own home studio, but then there's also like just going out and just sort of networking and meeting people out and about. So that sort of helps you get your name out and meet people and just being a familiar face. So I think you have to do a bit of both. You have to work on the music output, but then you also have to get out there, talk to people. Do these kinds of things like we're doing here today, sort of like talk to camera, sort of marketing type stuff. So, you just gotta try. It is difficult, I'm not gonna lie, like balancing all the different aspects, but, if you love it, you pour your heart and soul into it, you give it like 200%. And, whilst it is work, it kind of doesn't feel like work because you just enjoy it so much. So, just having fun with the process, really.
It's very important to have fun, during the process. I think that's why even a lot of people, I think even sometimes they quit, or they get to a point where they get frustrated, or they hit certain obstacles, and then, they quit because they're not really like having as much fun as they should, like along the journey. I want to go back, like slowly, like, when you was like probably like 14, 15 or whatever, like, could you, obviously, as much as you can remember, like when you was 14, around that age, 14, 15, like, how was you, like, what type of young man was you, and what type of things was you into, like, around that age,
Right, 14, 15.
As much as obviously you can remember, innit?
Yeah, I mean, I guess at that age, I was at secondary school in Chiswick, and at the time, I guess quite a lot of my friends were into the sort of more sort of like, I guess, indie rock kind of music, like Arctic Monkeys, the Libertines, that kind of thing. I actually went to school with this chap called Josh Lloyd Watson, who he lived literally down the road from me in Goldhawk Road, and he's now doing amazingly well musically. He has a band that's called Jungle, which probably most people have heard of. So, and like before they were Jungle, they had a band called Born Blonde, and I remember like going to their gigs at around that age at like Shepherd's Bush Hall, and we were just kind of like West London kids, I guess. I guess at that age I was probably going through a bit of a rebellious phase. I was probably a bit of a terrible teenager, to be honest, looking back on myself. But, I think everyone goes through that kind of phase when they're teenagers. And yeah, I remember musically, I guess I was always quite into sort of more, I remember at that time downloading music on LimeWire. I was very much like into hip hop at that time. I remember going to see people like Kano, Dizzy Rascal, again, like, Shepherd's Empire, Shepherd's Bush Hall. So I always loved hip hop music, and I remember going to Pineapple Dance Studios and like learning how to break dance with some friends at the time. So that was quite fun. My nickname at school was Dancing Joe. I remember having like a Leavers hoodie with like when I left school with like it on the back of my hoodie and stuff, and it used to be a bit of a party trick, which I don't really do that often these days because I'm a bit older and look after my knees and shit. But occasionally I'll whip it out once in a blue moon just for a bit of a laugh, really.
Like during special occasions.
Yeah, special occasions, just when I'm like feeling the music and I'm just like in the vibe, whatever, just when I'm feeling it, basically. I think it all comes together. People who are into music, like they just love music in all its forms, and rhythm and dance, and You know,
Yeah.
it's all connected. So, yeah.
Do you remember the first? Do you actually remember the first thing that you actually fell in love with? Because
Fell in
obviously,
love with?
yeah, because obviously, love, it's a very, beautiful.
Well, like a woman
or
or
powerful.
like a thing or
Like, literally, it could be like anything. Like, do you remember the first? Because obviously, for me, like quickly, if I may say, like the first thing I ever fell in love with was football. Like that was the
Okay.
first thing I ever fell in love with when I was, like I couldn't really every day I'm playing football, I'm thinking about
Okay.
all of these things. Literally could be obviously some people the first thing they fell in love with was a woman, innit? So you could never know it. But yeah, if you remember, what was the first thing like and you're like, I actually love this. Oh, I feel this amazing feeling, but I don't know what it is. But actually, yeah, you get me now. What was that first thing?
I think when I was younger, my parents put me. They wanted me to play instruments and do sports, like most parents, I guess. And yeah, I think when I was about 5 years old, my parents started giving me. I started doing piano lessons from the age of about 5. So I guess that could be considered like one of my first loves, and I did that for like 10 years or 11 years. Got to about, I think it was like grade 6 or something. So maybe the piano, you could say. I guess from a sports point of view, my parents I used to do like tennis and swimming classes. I was like the swimming captain at my school back in the day. Could do his length in 15 seconds, which is pretty good as a teenager.
That's definitely good.
Yeah, I was a fast motherfucker. Even though I was a bit chubby at the time, I was still fast bastard. I think thing I fell in love with, I mean, food-wise, I'm like part Thai, so my mum used to cook Thai food.
Yeah.
So like for me, green curry is probably, and spicy food in general, more broadly speaking, is something I fell in love with from a very young age. Yeah. I guess those are a couple of things.
Yeah, absolutely. Even I just wanted to just touch on, obviously, you said you have Thai, what is your whole background in terms of like where you come from, where your mum and your dad come from?
Yeah, so my mum, she came to the UK from Thailand, Bangkok in Thailand, when she was about 19, 20. She came with her friend Pat. So, and her parents were Chinese and Thai. So yeah, I'm quarter Chinese, quarter Thai on my mum's side. And then my dad's side, he grew up in North London, around Hampstead. He was, I think, 3rd generation Russian, Polish, Jewish.
Okay.
So like my great-great-great-grandparents came to the UK before World War One. So what's that, like 130 years ago or something? So I'm like 4th generation from that, I get descending-wise. My grandma was Welsh. But I guess like the way I simplify things to people is like, on my dad's side, I'm quarter Polish, quarter Russian. On my mum's side, I'm quarter Chinese, quarter Thai.
Yeah.
But always lived in London. I've been London born.
You've never moved out of London?
I've always been based in London. I live in London now in a place called Barnes, southwest London near Richmond Putney. But I did go to Manchester. So I was in Manchester from about 2009 to 2015. And had some great times there and some not so great times there. But overall, it was a great experience for me, just being independent, growing up, really indulging my music loves and my love for partying and raving. And, as mentioned before, I used to run this weekly event in Manchester. So, yeah, it was a good experience. But, yeah, I think I got to a point where I was like, in 2015, where I was like, okay, I'm done with Manchester. I'm going to head back to London and, sort of progress in my career there. So, yeah.